Alright boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. Starting off with the car sitting here behind me, this is the Ocelot Jugular, which I'm sure many of you are pretty big fans of, and it is discounted this week by 30% off. It's a pretty cool vehicle, it's got a wide body kit on it by default, the customization's pretty neat, it's a really good looking car, and for a long time it was the #1 best sports car in Grand Theft Auto Online with 4 doors. It's really fast, it's all-wheel drive, it's got great handling, great acceleration, really good launch, and a pretty decent top speed as well, and it's relatively cheap, and for a 30% discount, you kind of cannot go wrong with it. Definitely a pretty cool car, but anyways, we gotta talk about how to make some money this week in Grand Theft Auto Online, and we do have kind of a good week on our hands in some ways, and in other ways not so much. The vehicles this week are awesome, but anyway, we're going to talk about the money right now. First of all, we have a brand new adversary mode in GTA Online, and it is called Assault on ATT-16. So it's going to be an assault on the aircraft carrier, which is pretty cool. It's 8 to 30 players, and it is double money and double RP for the remainder of this week. I'm really excited to try this out. I actually think this is going to be a lot of fun. Maybe playing this with viewers this week. Might have to. I think it could be a good time. Anyway, that is on double money and double RP, and you'll also get a $100,000 bonus if you win 2 rounds of it. So keep that in mind as well. Now we also do have double money and double RP on LSA operations, as well as business battles that you will find in free mode or with sessions with more than 4 players. So business battles are going to be a pretty good way to make money this week for sure. So I would definitely take advantage of that. Now the last real bonus that we have as far as kind of money goes is going to be within the hangar, and Rooster is going to source you double the amount of crates for the same amount of money. So he's going to source you 2 crates instead of 1 for $25,000. Now unfortunately this isn't the best bonus ever, because if you know anything about air freight cargo, the name of the game when it comes to making money with that business is sourcing the same type of good over and over and over and over again. Rooster, of course, gives you randomized goods, and there are 8 different good types. So the chance of getting good types that are not the same and maybe not even the best is pretty high. So that is unfortunate, but it is a bonus nonetheless. So if you don't really care and you just want to, get some more bang for your buck, I guess, it's not the worst bonus ever, but I wish that maybe the hangar was on, 50% bonus money or double money or something like that. That would have been cool, but that's what we got, unfortunately. However, we did get some pretty good discounts, which we're going to start going over right now. Starting things off on the Elitist Travel and Transport website, we have 2 discounts here on the Buckingham Velatus and the Buckingham Nimbus. Now, both of these vehicles are not weaponized. Both of them are relatively kind of useless, particularly the Nimbus though. Now the Nimbus is extremely useless because it's basically a Luxor with less seats. Like if you go to the Luxor here, it actually has more seats. It's got 2 more seats, and it's also, it's not cheaper, but you can just simply go to the airport and steal a Luxor. The Nimbus does look pretty nice, I will say. I think it is a much more luxurious sort of jet. It's not really worth owning though, so I would completely rule out the Nimbus. I do not think it is a good purchase this week. It is definitely something that I would choose to avoid. Plus, it's also a Pegasus vehicle. I think you can take it into your hangar, but all you'll be able to do is change the color if you can do anything at all, so do keep that in mind. Now, the Buckingham Velatus, on the other hand, is kind of like a regular helicopter because it can only seat 4 players. However, it is one of the quicker helicopters in GTA Online, so if you do want to get people across the map kind of quickly, the Velatus might be for you. However, even with the 30% discount, I still think you're pretty much getting scammed, because for 1.6 mil, there's a lot of good things you could do with that amount of money that are better than buying the Velatus. Plus, we do have another helicopter on discount this week that can also seat 4 players, and it is generally a lot more useful, and it's also cheaper than the Velatus. So overall, unless you really, really want either of these airplanes, unless you really want either of these aircraft, I would say you're gonna just generally kind of avoid these this week, honestly. Now, the other discount that we have on an aircraft is, of course, on the Buzzard Attack Chopper. Now, the Buzzard is actually a good purchase, and especially for a 30% off discount, you really cannot go wrong with picking this thing up. Now, the reason that I'm recommending the Buzzard is A, because the machine guns that it has are some of the most damaging in the entire game. They'll shred civilian cars, they'll shred armored vehicles, and they will shred aircraft super quick. It also gets access to homing missiles and non-homing missiles and can seat 4 players. Now, the other good thing about the Buzzard Attack Chopper is that when you are registered as a CEO, you can simply spawn it in and it will spawn very close to you. And you can do this over and over again with like a 2-minute cooldown, which is not too bad. The Buzzard Attack Chopper, definitely worth picking up. Also one of the faster helicopters in the game that's armed. Not the fastest by any means, but still pretty up there. It's also small, maneuverable, and very light. And it has somewhat okay armor. It's not awesome, it's pretty default, but it's, you know, it's kind of okay. And you can take it into your hangar and you can change the color of it if you want to, making it into a personal aircraft. Plus, it's also a Pegasus vehicle, and you can spawn it as a CEO vehicle. So you can have up to 3 of these out at the same time. So that's pretty cool as well. Overall, the Buzzard, I would say, is something to pick up this week if you don't have one already. I think it's a pretty good deal. You can't really go wrong with it. On Legendary Motorsport, we have the Overflawed Entity XXR discounted underneath the 2-door section. I wanted to like this car so badly, and I remember the day it released, I was like, dude, this thing is so sick. And then I drove it, and I was instantly super disappointed. It has engine resistance, it is a lot slower than it should be. It's kind of annoying to drive because it feels like it should be going way faster than it does. And overall, I'm quite disappointed in it. Plus, the model for it is also extremely small, and your character looks really goofy sitting inside of it. The Overflawed Entity XXR is not a vehicle that I can recommend picking up. Plus, the customization is also super lacking for a vehicle that costs $2.3 million regularly, and even for 1.6, it's still really not worth picking up. There's definitely a lot of better vehicles that are discounted this week, like the Buzzard, for example, or some of the vehicles that we're going to talk about in just a second here. Now, under the 4-door section on Legendary, we have the Obey Omni or Omnis EGT. This is an Imani Tech capable vehicle, and it can take about 12 RPGs or 12 homing missiles. It has armor plating, it has oil slicks, and it of course has the missile lock-on jammer or the remote control device. Now, unfortunately, no bullet resistant windows and no front-mounted machine guns, but it is still one of the most armored Imani Tech vehicles in the game. It has an active rear spoiler with some nice customization, and it is a pretty good looking vehicle generally. And for $1,256,500, it is definitely a very good purchase to make this week. Awesome vehicle. Definitely pick up an EGT if you do not have one already. Very cool car, very much worth owning. Now, scrolling a little bit further, on the 4-door section as well, is where you'll find the Ocelot Jugular that I mentioned at the start of the video. Like I said, one of the very fastest 4-door sports cars in GTA Online. All-wheel drive, good acceleration, good launch, good handling, pretty decent customization. Overall, this car is very much worth picking up, especially for under $1 million. And if you have the trade price, it's even better. 643 grand if you got the trade price, 857,500 if you don't. Either way, you're getting a steal. This vehicle is awesome. It's a 4-seater. It looks great. It also sounds absolutely incredible. It shares the same sound with the XA21 as well as the Lampadati Komoda that's also right here on the website. Jugular is definitely a must pick up this week. Last but not least, on Southern San Andreas Super Autos, we got 3 discounts here, and starting off with the Vapid Dominator GTT as well as the Anis Remus. Both of these are Tuners DLC vehicles, meaning they have quite a bit of customization, and they can also be used in the Tuners DLC races. The Dominator GTT is one of the fastest muscle cars in Grand Theft Auto Online, probably top 5, maybe top 6, 7, but it's really, really quick, and the customization's awesome. For 640k, you cannot go wrong with it. Now, it does have a non-trade price as well, which unfortunately I can't show you because I have the trade price, but I believe that's around 1.2 million regularly, so you're looking at about 900,000 something. It's a pretty good vehicle at either of those price points. I would say pick this one up this week. The Anis Remus has some really great customization, however the performance aspect of it isn't really there, but it does have the drift tuning modification available for it, so if you want a cheap drift car, this is a good one to pick up for sure, and it's pretty good at drifting. Overall, the Remus is definitely one that you could pick up this week. It's not one that I can like super hyper recommend, but at the same time, I can't say don't buy it because it is actually an awesome vehicle and I am quite a fan of it. It's a good vehicle. It's really cool looking. I don't really think you can go wrong with it, but ultimately the choice is kind of yours. There's definitely some better vehicles to pick up this week, so don't blow your last money on the Remus, especially with cars like the Dominator GTT out here and the EGT as well as the Buzzard, things like that. And last but not least, on Southern San Andreas Super Autos, also under the 2-door category, we have the BF Club. This is the #1 best compact vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online for racing, particularly on last gen. Now on current gen, the HSW Brioso RA will give this thing a run for its money, but overall I would say that the BF Club is still a very good car and it could compete with the Brioso RA even with that HSW upgrade. For just under 900k. You kind of can't go wrong. It's also got some nice customization. It's one that I would say I do recommend picking up. All right, so there you have it, guys. That's it for discounts this week and bonus money. Now we finally got to go to the casino and the car meet, talk about those vehicles, and then go to all the dealerships, of course, as well. Within the casino, we have the Dinka Jester Classic available to be won as the podium vehicle for the week. If you can win it, I would definitely try to. It's a pretty cool vehicle, with some nice customization, of course. Within the LS car meet, we have the Dubachi Wagner available this week to be won, and the challenge to do this is pretty easy. You're gonna have to place top 2 for 4 days in a row, which is a relatively easy challenge. The hardest part of it is the 4 days in a row part, but top 2, if you have a friend who you can win trade with, you're gonna do just fine. The Wagner's an awesome vehicle, one of the fastest supercars in the game still to this day, despite being like 6-7 years old now. It's a really cool vehicle. Definitely would recommend trying to win it this week. Within the LS car meet, these are the vehicles that are available to be purchased this week, and all 3 of them are removed. Starting off on the left, we have the Lampadati Pagal. We also have the Pfister SR in the middle, and the Emperor ETR1. Starting off with the ETR1, it is a very good vehicle on the racetrack. However, not much in the way of customization. I think the only thing you could change is the spoiler option, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like fast on a racetrack, kind of. It has really good downforce when you're at speed, but at lower speeds, it's rear wheel drive. It gets a pretty bad launch, and there's no customization that can be done to it. And for about 1.6 mil, I want to say, oh wow, almost 2 mil, I can't necessarily recommend it, despite me absolutely loving the ETR1. So I would say this is one you should probably avoid this week. There's definitely some better purchases you can make. If you really want it, don't let me dissuade you, but I would say generally to avoid this week. Next up, we got the Pfister SR in the sports category for 1,135,000, 145,000. Damn, I almost had it. I was so close. This thing's got a little bit in the way of customization, and it is actually one of the faster sports cars in GTA Online. I would place it somewhere within the top 15 fastest overall. It's got pretty good downforce, excellent handling, sounds pretty good as well, and has a decent acceleration and a decent top speed. Pretty cool vehicle. I would recommend it this week for sure. Last but not least, in here we got the Pagal. This thing is going for $400,000 even, and it's honestly a pretty cool vehicle. I used to hate this thing, but I honestly kind of appreciate it now. I feel like it's kind of decent. If you're interested in it, or if you think you are, definitely give it a test drive and then consider purchasing it for sure. Can't necessarily say to buy it or to avoid it. It's really up to you. This is one that I'm very on the fence about because it really just depends what you like. Within Simeon's, we got a bunch more removed vehicles. Starting off with the Overflod and Morgan here, which is removed and goes for 2,145,000. 189,000. I think that might be because of the livery low key, but it is a pretty cool car. Definitely one of the better sports cars in GTA Online, and of course it is removed. It's got some nice customization. Overall, it's a decent car. I would say this is one to pick up this week, but again, after you get some of those vehicles that are actually discounted that we've gone over, like the Buzzard, for example, Jugular, EGT, stuff like that. The Morgan, though, pretty cool vehicle. We also have the Ubermacht SC1 available this week. Unfortunately, no discount on any of these vehicles. Goes for $1,603,000. For that price, I can't necessarily say I really recommend it. Doesn't have much in the way of customization. Not that great looking. Performance isn't that awesome, but it is a removed vehicle. So if you do want it in that aspect, it might be worth picking up. But I'd say, again, probably pick up some of the vehicles that are discounted this week that we've already talked about. Next up, we have the Dinka Jester. For $240,000, you kind of really can't go wrong with picking this thing up just because of how cheap it is. It's got some nice customization. It drives pretty well. Not the greatest sports car ever, far from the worst. It's a decent one. If you want it, I'd say get it. 240K. Really not much of a loss, honestly. Next up, we have the Volcar Warrener. This thing is also not discounted this week and is going for $120,000. At that price, I'd say just buy it if you want it. If you don't want it, you can avoid it. It's also removed. Yeah, that's it. Also have the Dinka Double T. This one actually might be available. Let's actually just quickly check on Legendary Motorsport. I'm not 100% sure if this is available or not anymore. It is removed. It is removed. So if you do want one, it is available right here, and I think it's $9 grand if I'm not mistaken. Oh, 12,000. So you can't steal it off the street either, I don't think. So Dinka Double T might be worth picking up to those of you who like motorcycles. It's a complete joke, but yeah, Luxury Autos, Niobe and the Enos Paragon S. Still waiting for something good to happen at Luxury Autos, Rockstar, so whenever you want to do that, it would be cool with me and a lot of other people. And yeah, please, for the love of God, do something with luxury autos. It's been too long. Within the chop shop, unfortunately, no claimable vehicles this week. However, you can steal and sell any of these ones. For the Zeruso, you are going to have to complete the podium robbery in order to get it. For the Swinger, you're going to need to complete the McTony robbery. And for the Dinka Blista Kanjo, you will need to complete the Duggan robbery. Last but not least, your RC Bandito time trial for today is Cypress Flats. Your Junk Energy time trial is Mirror Park. Your regular time trial is Del Perro Pier, and your HSW time trial is Del Perro Beach to Murrieta Heights. Anyway guys, there you have it. That has been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you guys found this video useful, helpful, anything like that, consider subscribing, consider dropping a like if you enjoyed, of course, as well. Dislike if you didn't. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.